Okay, let's talk about the computer hardware aspects of your system. On the top of this slide, we have just recently updated these requirements. So if you haven't looked at the base requirements recently, you want to take a look at this top section right here. These are just base. Base means you can get away with running it with these, but you probably don't want to run it with these for very long if you're doing like large models or complex models, or if this computer is the one that's making you money, you might want to think about upgrading some of these base requirements. So basically the CPU requires 64-bit. It doesn't matter whether it's Intel or AMD.
Actually, Don, we do run on a 36-bit as well, but the issue really is when you add large models to your system, you would want to do 64-bit, go to 64-bit.
Okay. Minimum RAM is 8 gigabytes. Again, the more RAM, the better, and I'll talk about that in the recommendations below. Disk space, obviously. We now run on Windows 8, 10, and 11. So if you're going to upgrade to Windows 11, you can go ahead and do so without any concerns.
Yeah, we just recently certified our products to run on Windows 11. We just went through a whole host of testing process, and we're happy to announce that we do run on Windows 11. We'll be sending out a press release pretty soon announcing it.
Good. And then for graphics, if you're going to use a base graphics card, just make sure it supports OpenGL, and that is the graphics language. And then down below that, some recommendations to jack up your computer so that you can get more work done faster. Obviously, the faster clock speed of your CPU. Basically, these bottom ones are how much you can afford to put into this computer that's going to end up generating the toolpaths that make you money. So just kind of think of it like that. If you can go to solid state drives, no moving parts in the drive, no disk spinning. So those are obviously faster to get data in and out of your drives. We didn't give a max RAM. I just wrote the more the better. This computer right here has got 32 gigs of RAM. It used to have 16, and I upgraded that only because all of the models that we work with here, 16 was just taking too long. So you might want to think about, again, this is just how much you can afford, and RAM is something that you can add. If you want, later, if you want to add more RAM, you can, if you're computer savvy, you can pop them in yourself, little RAM modules, or take it to your local computer store and they can match up. The RAM has to be matched to your clock speed, so you need to make sure what you buy matches your motherboard. And then also, you can add a dedicated graphics card. For example, this machine here that we're looking at has an NVIDIA Quadro graphics card. If you're going to get a new graphics card, recommend that you go to OpenGL 2. That is the latest graphics language on the graphics card. So those are the base performance indicators at the top, the recommended system requirements on the bottom. Now, some tips for better performance that relate to your computer itself. Now, you go to bed every night and you wake up every morning refreshed. You need to let your computer do the same. I know we tend not to do this, but obviously it's better for the computer if you shut it down at night, give it a rest, boot it up early in the morning, and you'll see noticeably better response times when you start working in the morning.
I got to break in here. I mean, it's not like the computer needs rest. I mean, that's not the reason we
That
do
was just
it.
an analogy.
Yeah. So the reason you do that is our system and any application you run is built on a whole host of other system libraries and a whole bunch of other components. And all these components, however good the system provider is, tend to leak memory. So what happens is, as you keep running these systems, this is a fact of life. They eat up memory and they don't release the memory. So the more you run your system, your PC, the more memory that's going to get locked up. And then pretty soon your PC is going to start crawling because there's a lot of this RAM that really cannot be used by your system. So effectively, you reduce the RAM. So that's why when you shut everything down and bring it back up, all those memory will be released, and then you can be going on your merry way again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, also, just a couple of little tips under that. I know we all, when we're working all day long, we tend to have multiple sessions of our CAD system running in the background. And we have done support sessions with users who we discover have got 7, 8, 9 sessions of RhinoCam running, and they're working on one of them. So every one of those sessions takes system resources away from you, away from the session that you're working in. So try to get into the habit of only running one session at a time, and that'll be your optimum performance. And then obviously each of the CAD systems we run on have auto save options. Obviously it's a good idea to activate those. Auto save every 5 minutes or so. You may think it's an interruption, but actually it may save you a lot of time if you had a computer crash or something went wrong. And then also we're going to show you how to allocate resources to the CAD system so that it has a priority over other resources. Okay, so what we're going to do, we did something a little bit different this time. We're going to pop in and out of some demos for each of these performance indicators. We're not going to do one large demo at the end. So we're going to go and do a demo now based on the hardware performance indicators. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Just one second. Okay, so I obviously have RhinoCam running with a part loaded, but what I want to show you here is how to check if you're new to computers, and we have a lot of hobbyists, a lot of retirees who use our product, they're not that computer savvy. So we're going to be talking about some real basic things that you can check. Many of you may obviously already know these, so just bear with us as we show these for the new users. So how to check your system information, how to know what your system is. So we're going to go down here to the Windows search bar, and we're going to type in system. And we'll pick system here. So it's going to pop up a window, and it's going to show you what's on your computer, the manufacturer, the model, the processor that you have, the gigahertz, the speed of your processor. This is a good indicator of how fast your CPU is running. And also it's going to tell you how much RAM you have currently installed. This one has 32 gigabytes of RAM. And it tells you the operating system that's installed. This is a 64-bit system. So these are your base indicators of the computer that you're running right now. Now, if you want to check and see what kind of graphics adapter you have on the computer, you can go up here to Device Manager, select that, and it'll show you everything on this computer. And what you want to look at is the section for display adapters. That's your graphics card. Just open that up. And in this machine, it says it's got an NVIDIA Quadro K2200 graphics card. And then we may, if we're talking to you about performance, we may ask you to make sure that your graphics card drivers are up to date, because they can become out of date. And when they do that, you may end up having system problems, especially during, well, actually during anything that relates to using your display, toolpath generation, obviously toolpath simulation. Which if you just select on your graphics card that you have listed, right click, and there's an option to update your driver. So go ahead and do that. Um, Windows is supposed to do this, or let you know, but we found times when they're not letting you know. So it's always good to maybe once a month go in there and update your graphics card drivers and make sure they're up to date. Okay, so let's go back, close that, and go back into the Rhino CAM session. Now, the session count, how many sessions that you have. If you go down on your task bar here and you go to your Rhino CAM or Visual CAD CAM or SolidWorks, whatever, and just highlight the icon on your taskbar, if you have more than one session running, those will line up on, it'll show up on little icons above your main icon on the taskbar. So if you see number of sessions of Rhino CAM or Visual CAD CAM running here, it's a good idea. The ones that you're not running or want to work with, go ahead and close those down and only work in one session. Now, also, a lot of users, when you first run a Rhino, you'll come up in a multi-viewport display like this. It's recommended that you don't run in this configuration all the time. Run in one window at a time, and you can pop in and out. A lot of times we'll pop in to this in order to see an elevation view of a toolpath, say from the front view or whatever. But it's always good just to stay in one view and work, because resources are only being allocated for that one window. Okay, and one last thing that I wanted to show you was you can allocate system resources to an application. So if you know you're going to be running a simulation, and you know this simulation takes 15 minutes, and that's not uncommon if you got a really complex model, you can go down here and just right click on your taskbar and pick Task Manager, and that'll display all of this applications and snippets of resources that are running on your computer at that moment. If you want to get more details, just go to the details section, and we're going to scroll down to Rhino CAM. Right click on that and set priority. You can give Rhino CAM a low priority or a real-time priority, meaning that it's taking the system resources in real time away from other applications or subsystems. So we're going to set it to real time, pick change priority, and then close your system window. Okay, that's all I've got. Joe, unless anybody's got any questions about systems, we're going to pop over to the next section.
One other comment I would make is keep your system up to date with Windows updates. That's very important, not only for performance reasons, because Microsoft does fix a lot of bugs in each of their updates. So keep that automatic updates turned on. That makes your life a lot easier in terms of performance, not just performance, but also for other reasons.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation.